The Ferrari sat silent, bright red paint catching the sun like a challenge. For a woman who could buy almost anything, that silence felt louder than any scream. 30 days had passed, and the one thing she trusted to move her forward refused to budge. What she didn't know was that this broken car, sitting forgotten at the edge of her perfect life, was about to introduce her to a kind of kindness that money could never buy. Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart, take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. You're watching Story of Pure Kindness, a place where simple human goodness still matters. Amanda Cross had built her life on speed. Speed in business, speed in decisions, speed on the open road. At 38, she was the CEO of a fast-growing tech company in California. Her days were packed with meetings, deadlines, and constant pressure to stay ahead. The Ferrari wasn't just a car to her. It was a symbol, proof that all those long nights and lonely mornings had paid off. So when it broke down on a quiet street far from her office, Amanda felt something unfamiliar. Helplessness. She called roadside assistance. They towed it to the nearest high-end service center. The next day, she was told the part needed was rare. It would take time. A week passed, then 2, then 3. Each update sounded the same. Delays, shipping issues, excuses. Amanda rented another car, then another. Life went on, but something kept pulling her back to that broken Ferrari. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was frustration, or maybe it was the strange feeling that for once, she couldn't fix a problem by throwing money at it. On day 30, she decided to visit the service center herself. She wore a tailored suit, heels clicking sharply against the concrete floor. The manager greeted her with rehearsed politeness, but no real answers. The part still hadn't arrived. As she turned to leave, annoyed and exhausted, she noticed a small garage across the street. It was old, with faded paint and a crooked sign that read, "Eddie's Auto Repair." The place looked like it belonged to another time. She almost ignored it. Almost. Something made her stop. Maybe it was the memory of her father, who used to fix cars in their driveway before he passed away. Or maybe it was simply the weight of 30 days of waiting. Amanda crossed the street. Inside the garage, the air smelled of oil and dust. Tools hung neatly on the walls. A man in worn jeans and a stained shirt looked up from under the hood of an old pickup truck. He wiped his hands on a rag and smiled. "Can I help you?" he asked. His name was Eddie. Amanda explained her situation, expecting him to laugh or tell her Ferraris were out of his league. Instead, Eddie listened carefully. He asked questions, real ones, about the sound the engine made, about when the problem started, about how the car felt before it stopped. "I can take a look," he said calmly. She hesitated. This man didn't look like someone who worked on luxury cars. But something in his eyes felt honest. She agreed. Eddie walked across the street with her, slowly, like time wasn't chasing him. When he opened the Ferrari's hood, his face didn't show fear or greed. Just curiosity. For 2 hours, he worked quietly. Amanda sat nearby, watching. No phone calls, no distractions, just patience. Finally, Eddie straightened up. "The part they're waiting on," he said, "you don't need it." Amanda blinked. "What do you mean?" He explained that the issue wasn't what the service center thought. It was a small sensor, something he'd seen before in other cars. It wasn't rare. It just required someone to look closely instead of following a checklist. "I can fix it today," Eddie said. Amanda felt her chest tighten. "How much?" Eddie shrugged. "Parts and labor. A few $100s. She almost laughed. 30 days of waiting. Thousands spent on rentals. And this man was offering a solution she could afford without thinking. By sunset, the Ferrari roared back to life. Amanda sat behind the wheel, stunned. She stepped out and handed Eddie her card. "Thank you," she said. "If you ever need anything, call me." Eddie smiled but didn't look at the card. "Glad I could help." As she drove away, something felt different. The car was fixed, but her heart felt strangely unsettled. The next morning, Amanda found herself thinking about Eddie. About his calm, his kindness, his refusal to treat her like a walking wallet. She returned to the garage a week later, not because the car needed anything, but because she did. She learned Eddie lived in a small apartment above the garage. He worked 6 days a week. His wife had passed away years ago. He was raising his granddaughter after his daughter struggled with addiction. Money was always tight, but he never complained. One afternoon, Amanda watched as Eddie fixed a single mother's car and charged her almost nothing. When the woman tried to pay more, he gently refused. "Just get home safe," he said. That night, Amanda couldn't sleep. She realized how much of her life had been about winning, not caring. About climbing higher, not reaching back. Eddie had changed her Ferrari, but he was changing her too. A month later, Amanda did something unexpected. She invested in Eddie's garage. Not to own it, not to control it, but to support it. New equipment, fair wages for extra mechanics, free repair days for people who couldn't afford help. She didn't put her name on anything. When Eddie found out, he was overwhelmed. "I don't know how to thank you," he said quietly. Amanda shook her head. "You already did." Years passed. Amanda still drove the Ferrari, but she drove differently now. Slower, more aware. She started volunteering, donating quietly, listening more than she spoke. Eddie's garage became a place of hope in the neighborhood. People didn't just come for repairs. They came because they were treated with dignity. One evening, Amanda stood across the street, watching Eddie teach his granddaughter how to change a tire. She smiled. 30 days of a broken car had given her something she never knew she was missing. Purpose. Kindness doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes quietly, with greasy hands and a gentle smile. Sometimes it waits across the street, in a place we almost ignore. If this story moved you, remember this: one small act of kindness can change a life. Sometimes, it can change too. And maybe today, it can change yours too.